Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. APW Sports signing in. And the Bears have made both of their coordinator hires. And in this video, I'm going to talk about the Bears hiring Dennis Allen as a defensive coordinator. Now, just to do a little bit of a background on Dennis Allen these past couple of years, he spent 2011 as the defensive coordinator for the Denver Broncos. And from 2012 to 2014, he was the head coach of the then Oakland Raiders. Then he became a defensive assistant in 2015 for the Saints. He also became the defensive coordinator from 2015 to 2021 with the Saints. He was their head coach from 2022, and he got fired mid-season this past season. And now he is the defensive coordinator for the Chicago Bears. Now, one thing that I know off the eye test of the New Orleans Saints defenses over the past few years is that they were always one of the better defenses in the NFL. And when you look at how structurally the defense was built in New Orleans, it's kind of similar to what the Bears have here. They had a top corner in Marshawn Lattimore from The Ohio State University, and the Bears now have a top corner in Jaylon Johnson. They had a very solid pass rusher led by Cam Jordan. The Bears also have a very solid pass rusher led by Montez Sweat. They had good linebacker play, whether we're talking about Demario Davis, whether we're talking about Pete Warner from The Ohio State University. They've always had good linebacker play, good secondary play. They had Tyrann Mathieu these past couple of years in the secondary. And they had guys like in their past like Sheldon Rankins. Trey Hendrickson came from that defense, even though he's now with the Bengals. He came from that Saints defense. And when you look at them schematically wise, it's basically almost kind of similar, if I want to say, to what this defense has now. They have good pass rushing help, good interior defensive lineman with Pickens, with a guy like Javon Dexter, Billings when he comes back healthy, Sweat, and the outside rush, DeMarcus Russell, played well. Linebacking core, TJ Edwards, Tremaine, Edmunds, Sam Bourne have been playing some really good football. Then you would look at the Bears secondary, Kyler Gordon, who I always felt was the X factor of this defense. Tyreek Stevenson, I think, will get better with new defensive back coach Al Harris. I'm not going to make a separate video over that because I don't want to mesh up this channel with too much Bears when I got a lot of stuff to cover. But anyway it goes, I think with the hires of Al Harris in the defensive secondary, and then we're going to talk about Dennis Allen, I think this defense, number one, with Dennis Allen, I think this is a stern head coach. I think he's one of those guys that brings a culture, brings a defensive culture, brings a defensive mindset, brings a defensive mentality that we kind of lacked a little bit. He's an intense guy, a very intense coach. So, and then I think he's going to get the best out of the Bears defense. And then another aspect that I really believe that he's going to help is that he has been a head coach in this league before. And when we talk about Ben Johnson, who is a first-time head coach, I think the presence of Dennis Allen and him being a head coach before in this league, whether we're talking about his stint with the Raiders, whether we're talking about his past stint with the New Orleans Saints, this is something that is going to help Ben Johnson tremendously. And we're not just talking about X's and O's. We're talking about Ben Johnson's ability to handle things, whether it's press, whether it's the week-to-week game plan, whether it's the week-to-week scheduling. I think not just X's and O's, that is going to help Ben Johnson's tenure as a head coach tremendously, in my opinion, is to hire a person that has experience doing that said thing as being a head coach. Because, yeah, Ben Johnson can have the X's and O's all he wants. He can have the game plan and the scheme all he wants. But it's managing players. It's managing personalities. It's managing just the entire sculpture of being the head coach. And with the guy like Dennis Allen, who has had experience, who has been in the NFL since 2002, I think with handling a guy, having a guy with that type of experience, having a guy that has been through it all as far as being an assistant and being a coach in this league, and knowing what he knows about the defensive side of the ball and his expertise there, I think is going to help Ben Johnson be one better prepared as far as what he's going to see on the offensive side of the ball when he's scheming up against defenses. Because I think when you're a head coach, you have a lot on your plate. And when you have somebody that, as Dennis Allen's experience coming into your room, coming into your coach's room, the locker room, that is going to mean so much. And we've seen things come out about Dennis Allen is that when he's a coach that speaks, players listen. And that is something that we really need in this Chicago Bears locker room. So I really think that this is a very good hire. A guy who has known the scheme, very good defenses when his time with the Saints. The Saints were always one of the top defenses that we had in the league. They got after the quarterback very well. And another thing that they did well, they created turnovers. They made things happen on the defensive side of the ball. And now he runs basically the same 4-3 scheme that we've seen with Matt Eberflus. And with the pieces that this Chicago Bears defense has, I think I'm not going to say smooth, because I've always said with new system, with new terminology, that is going to take time for players to, number one, get acclimated to him, and for Dennis Allen to get acclimated to the players that he has. Now, we know things are probably going to change with the roster this offseason. There's no doubt about that. But when we're talking about just coming in, and I think it's going to be a little bit of a smoother transition because they run a very similar scheme that they really don't blitz a ton. Dennis Allen is a guy that he doesn't blitz. When I watched his Saints defenses, he didn't blitz a ton. He blitzed when he needed to. They rely more on the front four, which during his time, they had a very solid front four. They had good secondary to back up in coverage, which I think the Bears have when healthy, is a very good secondary. So I think it's going to be a bit of a smooth third transition, even though I still think it's going to take some time for Dennis Allen to learn the players, to learn the pieces that he has, to learn how to use and utilize the pieces that he has on his defense. But with this veteran experience, I think it's going to help this franchise out a ton to be consistent on the defensive side of the ball and to have stirred and ready to be made veteran leadership on that defensive side of the ball. So I love this hire, and then I will talk about the offensive coordinator hire and how that turns into it, whichever order you guys watch these videos, because I'm going to do a separate offense and defensive coordinator hire. But I like this move from not only the perspective of helping Ben Johnson, not only the perspective of having a veteran leadership, is that you don't change too much about the schematics in the scheme of which this defense is built for, in which this defense has been accustomed to these past few years under Matt Eberflus. But I really do like the hire. Leave you guys your thoughts in the comment section down below, and I will catch you guys later. Peace.